Thank you so much, viewers. Welcome again to the MNJ podcast. And today we have an interesting topic. Fadzai, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Peter. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
Okay, do you often read your newspapers?
Yes, I do. I read my newspaper every day for me to stay updated.
So today we have an interesting topic of a certain deputy headmaster who did a fraud of 84,000. What's your take on that issue?
Oh, I actually read that story. Well, it's typical of most SMEs in Zimbabwe. It's only that this headmistress was actually identified and they got to expose her. But it's something that is common and it's happening in most SMEs, particularly because they do not have proper bookkeeping systems and structures.
So do you think when handling issues to do with cash, trust alone, is it enough for someone to be handling cash, or we have to develop a system which guides the financials of the company?
Well, trust is okay, which is one thing that is building our companies here in Zimbabwe, particularly coming from the fact that we are starting from being informal and then we formalize. But what I urge most SMEs is trust alone is not enough. You need to be strategic about the way you're handling your funds. You need to have proper systems and structures in regards to accounting. Most people think accounting is very complex, but just to have the basic checks and balances to say when money comes in, what do we do? When we are disbursing funds outside, what do we do? When we've got people owing us money, what do we do? When we receive cash transactions, what also do we do? If you've got those things in place, it will actually help you to put up basic structures that keep everything formal, but helping you to track all of your transactions.
Yeah, because you know what, the bad thing about this, it's not the senior school alone which suffered this consequence. Because most of the SMEs, they don't value the bookkeeping or basic accounting.
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
Yes. So what would you like to maybe advise them in terms of, because someone might say, I'm working alone, I have 2-3 employees. What's the need for basic accounting or bookkeeping services?
Okay. So bookkeeping services, it's not like you're witch hunting or you're trying to see who's stealing from you. It's not all centered on theft, but basically putting controls in place helps you even to grow the business because you know how much money you're making. You can even track if you're losing any money, such that when you're coming up with strategic decisions, they're based with figures. They are coming out from figures that you have already calculated. And just to check, when you come up with your management accounts, it's mainly for your internal strategic decisions. How much profit did we make? How much loss did we make? Which expense is taking too much money? It helps you with the decision making. But then it also comes with, there are also other external organizations or external factors that we should consider. We've got your ZIMRA that will be checking your financials. We've got other people that would also want to apply for loans. When you apply for a loan at a bank, definitely they would ask for your financials. So if you don't have such records now, it becomes difficult for you to apply for such facilities. And looking at ZIMRA for tax issues, for you to calculate how much tax you're supposed to pay, be it in terms of income tax, in terms of VAT, you actually need to have proper financials such that even when a tax audit happens, you are able to give all of the information without fear that probably you missed an invoice, probably you missed a receipt, or there are certain transactions that went unrecorded.
Yeah, because mostly of those SMEs, they avoid the cost of, they say bookkeeping is costly to their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
But what follows, the mistakes which will follow, is more than just having someone doing their books. So
Yes,
as a consultant, how are Zimbabwean companies trying to coping in terms of doing bookkeeping and their accounts? Are they taking that seriously?
Not really. Apparently, up to 80%, if not 85 or 90 of SMEs do not take bookkeeping and accounting seriously. But their major fear that I identified in my line of consultancy work is they think accounting is very expensive. So instead of having to pay some accountant a monthly fee, they then think that this is going to take away from my profits. But the true fact is, if anyone identifies a loophole to take money, that loophole can actually cost you more than just having someone who gets to check your books on a daily basis, who gets to account for all of your transactions on a daily basis. So what I would urge most SMEs is you might not need a resident accountant, but just engage someone who comes in regularly to check on the transactions, check how you're doing your things, check on the controls, introduce paperwork and documentation so that we've got a trail and proper filing for all of the transactions.
Yes, was another issue which I think most companies don't get the issue of internal controls to say who gets to do the requisition for the company, who gets to do the payments. They don't have like a formula of doing that.
Yes, actually, for most SMEs, it's the owner or the founder who does everything. Everything is centered on them. If it's not them, they've probably put their wife on the finance or their sister, mainly because they do not trust strangers on the money. But segregation of duties actually helps you to say, not just to catch the thief, but for you to identify certain things that you're missing out. Because if you're the one who is requesting, the one who is approving, the one who is disbursing, it simply means that you're not going to identify any loophole in the workflow because you're basically doing everything. But when we've got independent people doing things, doing certain duties, when we've got clear segregation of duties, it's easier to have someone responsible to hold them accountable to say, why did you miss this report? Why did you miss this receipt? Why didn't you account for this transaction? But when you're doing everything, who holds you accountable? It simply means that everything will just go unnoticed and anyone can just take advantage of that.
Okay, so we have over 10,000 entrepreneurs who are watching right now. Any advice you want to give them, especially those who are ignorant about bookkeeping and accounting? Any advice to them?
Yes, sure. Okay, so for all the SMEs and entrepreneurs who are watching, I would urge you that you need to have proper accounting systems. Accounting systems do not have to be complex like you're a multi-million-dollar company, but it starts right from the foundation. When you're still small, have your checks and balances to say, we've got a receipt book where we're receipting our income. We've got our payment vouchers where we are dispersing our funds. We've got requisitions where people get to request and then we get to approve. Just have your basic systems. Basic paperwork for receiving stock, basic paperwork for disbursing stock, and more even, you can even get to invest in small accounting packages that just covers the basic accounting, how to record your receipts, how to record your expenses, how to have an asset register. These accounting systems are very user-friendly and they can get to assist you in everything that you do. It's not a matter of you thinking about double entry like debit, credit, like what most people do. But these accounting systems actually do the debit credit for you. So you just get your reports. If you feel that these systems are not good for you or you're too busy to be logging in, you can always engage a consultant who gets to help you with your bookkeeping, who gets to help you with the paperwork, and also gets to prepare your reports on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you so much, Fadze, for coming to the podcast.
You're welcome, Peter.
Okay, thank you so much, viewers. So you don't have to be big to start being serious with your accounts and bookkeeping. Whether you are running a small tech shop, your combi, your taxes, you have to practice bookkeeping. We'll see you again next week on the next episode.